think about your day today. How many times have you been at a point where you've just about lost it or starting to get frustrated and you've had to take that breath or take a step back and you've been able to get calm enough to then go to the next level, think about it, do the right thing. Learning to calm down is one of the most important things we do in our life. And the cool thing is that most of that is learnt in the first few years. So learning to stay calm, when we think about it, we've got to think about it as a skill. And like all other skills, learning to play guitar, learning to drive, learning to tie your shoelaces, we have to practice. We understand that. Learning to stay calm is a skill, it needs practice. But what we find less able to understand is how do we practice that skill? We practice it mostly in the first 3 years. So what does it look like? And you'd think with such an amazing skill, such an important skill that really keeps us calm throughout the day, allows us to think and logicize, it would be such a difficult technique to learn. This is how we learn to stay calm. Boo. When we've got a little one in front of us, they love playing this game and they ask us to play it again and again. And when we go like this, we actually send them into a stress response. They go into a bit of a stress, they enter that fight-flight response. And then when we go boom, and we meet their eyes, we have a relationship with them, you see them, and they calm down. So they've just activated a calming down process. So what you've got here is you've got us actually putting our kids into stress and then taking them out. Now people go, does that mean I'm, stressing out my child? Yeah, it does, but they love it. They want you to do it again and again. You play the round and round the garden or this little piggy and you chase them and they're in stress and then you grab them and they calm down. So what we need to understand is that this is actually essential learning for our kids learning to calm down. They're practicing a skill. And if you look at any culture, anywhere in the world, they play these games because baby knows that they want to learn how to calm down, so they ask you to play again and again. It's absolutely fascinating and they love it. What they need to do, just with any skill, is they need to be extended. We need to get better and better at what we do. So at first it's milliseconds of going into stress, but then it gets longer, we hide behind the desk, so then they need to extend it even more. So the next game they love to play is hide and seek. And so they play hide and seek. And this is where we're going to start to understand how important relationships are around our children learning to stay calm. So when you play hide and seek, you do the counting and they run away and they hide in the cupboard and they're sitting there. And because this child has played peekaboo and round the garden, they're quite good at engaging that calming response. So they're calm and they're sitting there and they're quite happy. But you take quite a while, you're looking in all the other bedrooms and the kitchen, and they're in the cupboard, and they start to go into stress. And what happens is they're getting into this zone where they can feel they're getting stressed, and their body knows that this is a point they might not be able to come back from. So they're sitting there, and the next minute here, I'm in the cupboard, and they yell out, and you run to the cupboard, and you open the cupboard, and they jump out, and you grab them, and their heart's pounding, and they're breathing. They're in stress response and the fight-flight response. But what happens is you grab them and you hug them and they calm down and you say, should we play again? And they go, yes, because you've got them in the safe zone and you've got a relationship with them. If you didn't get there on time, if you couldn't find them, if you're looking around or you didn't hear them yell and you finally found them, you open the door, they've gone too far, they've lost the plot. And so that is not good for us learning how to calm down. So that relationship in the right space was necessary. Secondly, if this kid was in the cupboard and they yelled out, I'm in the cupboard, and a stranger came and opened the door, would that calm them down? No. So what they needed is someone with a relationship who could ignite that calming down practice, and then they got better at it. And then eventually they can stay calmer for longer. So it's a skill that we learn. It will only be learnt if we practice it. So that's the other really important point of understanding calming down, is that if we don't practice it, we don't learn it. And there's quite an amazing story by Dr. Bruce Perry in one of his books, Born for Love. And he talks about this wee boy who was born with it's a hairy nevus on his face. It was not a good looking growth on his face. And his mother promised that she would never look away from him. She'd show him how much she loved him. Now the boy was 4 or 5 years old and needed to go to the Child Trauma Academy, which deals with the most traumatised and abused children in America. Mum said, I'm going to love you so much, and he's in a traumatised, abused centre. The reason being is because Mum never looked away, never allowed him to ignite the stress response, he never learnt to calm down. And so what we've got to be careful of is having that relationship, getting to them at the right space and helping them calm down, but allowing them to get into that zone, not keeping them all the time out of stress. So it's that beautiful balance, which is why we need relationships. We need to understand the baby, the toddler, the child we're working with, so we can actively take them into that stress response and help them calm down. And every child, baby, toddler is different. I can't tell you leave them for 5 minutes and then respond, because that's different for every child. So if we know our kids, we understand them, we understand that today they're actually in a bit of a bad mood, so we're going to respond to them a little bit faster today, and then the next day they look like awesome, so we're going to push them a little bit and get them to try and climb that, up a little bit higher and put them into a bit of stress. This is what our kids need. Stress in good amounts with a relationship that helps them calm down. And if we do that, we grow up being able to handle it when we can't get the lid off the milk, or we spill it everywhere, or when somebody overtakes us on the motorway. We can activate that calming down space. And that's what makes us better interactive citizens in this world, I believe.
If you liked this video, subscribe!
Oh no, I wasn't ready. I wasn't scared enough.
Yeah.